After a much review of the book Portraits of Lives Lost, I still had a sense that there was one thing missing. Before the story could be told completely, there was still a picture missing. There were conversations missing. There were pictures missing. And there were stories that were missing. These stories are the stories of the Life Esidimeni Hospital, the place where the 144 survived, where they lived, where they had hope, where their dreams were still alive. The more we hear about Life Esidimeni, the name ends with the word tragedy. However, if you know the true story, it is not so. The tragedy only happened after they had left Life Esidimeni Hospital into the hands of an incompetent, incapable NGO settlement. A careless head of department for the Gauteng Department of Health. It took less than 2 years to have 144 lives perish. But for more than 10 years, Life Esidimeni Hospital had been a beacon of hope for some of these people.
People in total were reported dead in 2000.
The Minister of Health, I wish to apologize unconditionally to both the families and relatives of the deceased and those who are still living, and to the whole nation at large. We have really wronged them in a way unimaginable. I know that the emotional and psychological trauma that the families and relatives of the deceased, as well as living patients, have endured is extremely unbearable and even impossible to quantify. When I read the Ombuds's report about how people were bundled in vans and tied with sheets, and how they were chosen, like, as he described it, like cattle at an auction.
Compassion towards mental health. What does it say about our state of mental health?
My name is Lwazi.
Now, as we sit down with Harriet Palmer and Mark Lewis today, we'll be exploring the intersections of storytelling, social justice, and the human experience. Njengombhali wochungechunge lwakamabonakude olwalushisa izikhotha olwalubizwa ngeyizo-yizo, uHarriet Palmer wazwakalisa ukulwa nokunqoba kwabantu abasha baselokishini, ebhekana nezinkinga ezinzima ezifana nokuhlupheka kwabantu abamnyama, udlame kanye nokuzazi.
To give you an overview of how Mark and I have been involved, Lwazi.
Yeah.
So when Life Esidimeni was happening, and you said you've seen the book and you've read it, and that's amazing. Yeah. That was from June 2015. The people involved were those Section 27 and from SADC, and of course then family committee members like Christine. And Mark and I, and Mark, jump in if you want to clarify, really involved in the Esidimeni unraveling of what happened in the story. Really, we were like other South Africans. We were watching in horror, and we became aware of this tragedy. Later in 2020, I have worked previously with Cassie Chambers from SADC, South African Depression and Anxiety Group, and I approached her to say, we need to put a face and tell the story in a different way. And so we raised funds to do the website and then to bring out the book. So the first thing we did was, in fact, as we said, to tell the story from the point of view of families who had lost loved ones. And Mark and I then, together with the help of Christine from the family committee, visited all the families. And that story, you'll ask more about. We spent 2.5 years basically going around visiting families. Then when we did the book, we also felt that we needed the stories of those who were part of the fight back. Section 27, Dikgang Moseneke, Adila Hassim, Mark Hayward. And so we then went back to them and got those interviews and stories. But if you're wanting detail around how things were unfolding from a personal perspective from them, those are the people to speak to. So yes, I never spent time with Dick. I followed his stories. I read all the case studies. And then he wrote a piece for us for the book.
Absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And we came in post the arbitration, which is what he was involved in. So we were involved when the inquest happened, but after the arbitration.
Absolutely.
Mukeli-ke iso sonke isikhathi esinaso sengxoxo yanamuhla. Ngithanda ukubonga uHarriet kanye noMark ngokwabelana nathi ngemininingwane kanye nolwazi lwabo.
Coming up in the next webisode, get to know the litigation team at Section 27 to find out whether justice is served for the families of the 144 lives lost. We find out who is Qedani Mahlangu and her role in the Life Esidimeni tragedy. Join us as we explore the book Portraits of Lives Lost, where Harriet and Mark using stories and photographs to expose social justice.